is SMNI News Channel. Truth that matters.
Good evening, Philippines, and good day, world. It's Wednesday, September 27, 2023, and you're watching Newsline World. I'm Mayk Oliveira.
And I'm Frederico Velloso. We are here to bring you the top stories we've gathered from all over the globe.
Philippines Office of the Vice President proves that there was zero corruption in the 2022 confidential funds.
A looming government shutdown threatens the United States after its national debt reaches a historic high of $33 trillion.
After Ukraine claimed that it has killed Russia's Black Sea Fleet commander, a video resurfaced showing that he was alive and well after all.
India's foreign minister hits back at Canada over the killing of a Sikh leader in Surrey, British Columbia.
And let's find out some Team Philippines achievements in the 19th Asian Games in Hangzhou City.
This and more for tonight's edition of Newsline World. In the news, former U.S. President Donald Trump was found guilty of fraud in a New York court. David Lita tells us more live. David?
Fred, in a New York State civil court, Trump and his family business, the Trump Organization, have been held accountable for unlawfully inflating his net worth.
State Attorney General Letitia James has filed a lawsuit last September accusing Trump of deceiving about his net worth for 10 years. On Tuesday, Judge Artu Engoron revealed that Trump had inflated his assets value by $2.23 to $3.6 billion to obtain favorable terms for loans, insurance, and financial resources. The judge found that Trump exaggerated the value of several assets, including his Mar-a-Lago estate in Florida, Trump Tower paint house, golf courses, and office buildings. The judge rejected Trump's defense, calling it baseless. A trial to address the various claims in the lawsuit is scheduled to start on Monday. Apart from this civil suit, Trump is facing numerous criminal charges related to the January 6th Capitol riot, alleged payment of rush money to a porn star a decade ago, and alleged hoarding of top-secret government documents after leaving the White House. Trump has dismissed this legal action as politically motivated and has used the federal indictments to raise funds for his 2024 presidential campaign. State Attorney General Letitia James, who filed a $250 million lawsuit, accuses the entire Trump family of staggering fraud and seeks to prevent them from conducting any businesses in New York. Defendants in the lawsuit including 3 of Trump's adult children and 2 Trump's organization's executives, Allen Weisenberg and Jeff McConney.
Fred, Trump maintained his innocence. He argued that no banks were harmed by his optimistic assets valuations. Trump also claims that they profited handsomely, earning hundreds of millions of dollars in interest and fees without raising concerns about the valuations. Back to you, Fred.
Thank you. That's David Lita live on SMNI Studios.
Meanwhile, the national debt of the United States has already hit a record high of $33 trillion. And now the government shutdown threatens the country as the Congress is in the deadlock over funding. Andrea Santos tells us more.
The U.S. government is in danger of shutting down as the Senate and the House of Representatives can't agree on funding. The Senate voted in favor of discussing a bill to fund the government until November 17, including $6 billion for disasters in the U.S. and $6 billion for Ukraine. The House, led mainly by Republicans, has its own ideas. But even if their plans pass, they won't fund the whole government, possibly leading to a shutdown. This division raises concerns about the 4th government shutdown in a decade, worrying Wall Street. To prevent an immediate shutdown, some politicians agreed to keep current funding. However, House Speaker Kevin McCarthy wants rules on immigration and border security that may not get enough support. In May, President Joe Biden and McCarthy agreed on spending. The White House urges Republicans to honor this deal. The cuts proposed by Republicans are small compared to the total budget of $6.4 trillion. Vital programs like Social Security and Medicare won't be affected. To recall, the U.S. Chamber of Commerce issued a memo Monday to the business community. It warned of the negative impact that a prolonged shutdown could have on U.S. economy. Shutdowns happened 14 times since 1981, but most were short. The last federal government shutdown happened between December 2018 and January 2019, and according to the U.S. Congressional Budget Office, these shutdowns costed Americans $3 billion. Reporting, this is Andrea Santos, SMNI News.
An all-industry player puts forward his solutions amid the continuous increase in fuel prices. MJ Mondeja tells us more.
On Tuesday, the Congress met with oil industry players to discuss the continuous increase in fuel prices. The meeting aimed to identify adjustments that industry players can make to lower prices of oil products.
Well, ito po yung second round ng meeting ng Congress kasi nung first meeting parang wala akong nangyari. What we are asking now, baka pwedeng dagdagan nila yung kanilang discounts na another 2 pesos siguro, another piso na naman, and then isama po nila yung riding public.
Clean Fuel President Bong Suntay suggests that the government can take certain measures. In an interview with SMNI News, Suntay mentioned that if the government cannot entirely suspend the oil excise tax, it could still help by reducing the tax even by half.
Pagka kinalahati mo yung excise tax, instead of 10 pesos per liter sa gasoline, gawin mong 5 pesos. Napababa mo yung presyo ng gasolina by 5 pesos.
So, sir, diretso sa epekto. Pag mawasan mo pa, diretso hasas agad.
Dahil ang excise tax is per liter eh.
Suntay explained that oil companies bear 3 types of taxation: oil excise tax, value-added tax, and the income tax. For crude oil, the excise tax is 6 peso per liter, 5 peso per liter for kerosene, and 3 peso per liter for LPG. The revenue from oil excise tax is used for government programs.
Pag kinalahati mo yung excise tax ng diesel from 6 pesos, gawin mo 3 piso na lang muna. So may pumapasok pa rin sa gobyerno, di ba? Pero, naibaba mo by 3 pesos kaagad yung presyo ng diesel.
Economic managers oppose the suggestion of suspending the oil excise tax. According to them, suspending the oil excise tax would mean losing around 73 billion pesos from the national coffers in the 4th quarter of 2023. Apart from the oil excise tax, Suntay has another proposal for the government, allowing the full importation of ethanol. That is a component in gasoline to reduce air pollution. Gasoline currently contains 10% ethanol.
Ang ethanol, ang mandando sa industry players, o kalahati niyan, kailangan bilhin nyo local. Kalahati, pwede nyong imported. Ang imported, 52 pesos. Ang local, 84.
Per liter, sir.
Per liter. So there's a 32 peso difference. Pero, kahit mas mahal yung local, hindi mo pwedeng import lahat. Kasi sinabi ng regulasyon, kalahati, kailangan bilhin mo local eh. Ang epekto nun, patasin yung presyo. Di ba? I-relax muna natin yung requirement. Sabihin natin, habang mataas yung presyo, sige, kung mas mura yung imported, puro imported muna bilhin nyo.
Additionally, there are suggestions to import oil from other countries, especially since Russia offers a cheaper oil supply. However, due to the Russia-Ukraine war, it has become challenging for oil industry players to purchase oil from Moscow. With that, the management of Clean Fuel aims to maintain the lower pricing for the benefit of their consumers. For Ganamabal of Philippines, I'm Jay Mondihar, SMNI News.
So-called kamote riders and road rage incidents are expected to lessen due to the opening of the Motorcycle Riding Academy of MMDA. Besides traffic law, anger management will also be taught in the said academy. Jason Rubico reports.
Aling Angelina is interested in learning to ride a motorcycle. Apart from the fact that it is important to not get stuck in traffic when commuting, she said it is also a big help in her work as a traffic enforcer.
Gusto ko rin po magkaroon ng sariling service din po eh. Maganda po kasi may sarili kang service kaysa yung nagkukommute ka kasi yung traffic nga po. Lalo nga po yung sa trabaho, kailangan din po talaga siya.
Angelina is one of the first batch of students of the newly opened Motorcycle Riding Academy of the Metropolitan Manila Development Authority, or MMDA. According to Chairman Romando Artes, the first batch consists of MMDA employees. This aims to test, adjust, and improve the theoretical and practical courses at the Riding Academy. Online registration was open to the public this Wednesday for those who want to enroll. Anyone can join, including first-timers or those without driving experience. The motorcycle training will last for 2 days and is limited to 100 students per batch. The MMDA hopes to reduce the number of kamote riders or riders with horrific driving behavior who are often the cause of accidents and problems on the road.
Yan po ang gustong i-address ng Motorcycle Riding Academy, na baguhin po yung mindset or kaisipan ng ating mga nagmumotorsiklo, na unang-una bigyan sila ng refresher course sa traffic rules and regulation, turuan sila ng proper driving skills para makaiwas sa aksidente, at ganoon din po yung tamang disiplina sa daan.
The Academy also aims to address road rage accidents. Apart from traffic rules and regulations, Artes said anger management will also be taught at the Riding Academy.
Kasama sa discipline po yung anger management. Iaano po natin yan na kasama po sa curriculum natin na ituturo na kontrolin yung emotion sa daan, magbigayan, at wag pong mag-away sa daan.
But apart from the learning experience that can be obtained at the Riding Academy, there is also jobs waiting for those who complete the training. According to the MMDA, ride-hailing companies will prioritize for employment those who graduate from the Riding Academy.
Actually, what we'd like to do is yung mga pumasa rito, of course, dadaan pa rin sa aming mga rigid training. Idadagdag pa rin namin yung training ng joyride. But definitely, those na nakapasa rito, magkakaroon ngayon ng inside track, kumbaga, para makakuha sila ng opportunity pa para kumita.
The MMDA is currently in talks with the Technical Education and Skills Development Authority, or TESDA, and Land Transportation Office for the accreditation of the Academy. For God and my beloved Philippines, I am Jason Rubrico, SMNI News.
Meanwhile, Australian authorities order residents in southeast Queensland to evacuate immediately on Wednesday as fast-moving blazes threaten to reach local communities anytime today. Jillian Libwit reports.
Local officials have issued an urgent evacuation order for residents in Flagstone, Burnham and Verisdale Scrub as firefighters try to stop a raging bushfire burning hundreds of hectares of land from reaching nearby communities. By midday, residents in the said areas were told to prepare their belongings, bring their pets and leave their homes. Helicopter crews have been deployed to stop the bushfire. The blaze in Flagstone alone was burning across 950 hectares of dense bushland. Residents were told to leave as the situation could escalate quickly. Officials from the Queensland Fire and Emergency Services told residents to pack a bag with a mobile phone charger, important documents, medicine, cash, keys and enough clothes for 5 days. Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has allocated $200 million a year for disaster prevention and resilience amid the increasing threat of bushfires and higher demand for firefighters. Last month, authorities warned communities to prepare for what is likely to be the most significant bushfire season since the 2019-2020 Blackfire summers, which killed more than 30 people and an estimated 3 billion animals. Reporting from New South Wales, this has been Jillian Libwood, SMNI News, Australia.
The mayor of an island located in northwestern Japan rejected applying for the government survey regarding the hosting of an underground disposal site for highly radioactive wastage. So Natsumi Kojima has the details.
Tsushima Mayor Naoki Hitakatsu forgoes applying for the Japanese government survey for a nuclear waste site. He says his city will not apply to this survey because he is concerned about the adverse effects of the radioactive waste to the city. Hitakatsu said the city of Tsushima will not apply for a survey to host an underground radioactive waste site despite the backing of municipal assembly and a 2 billion yen or $13.4 million offered in subsidies. The mayor said he rejected the Bankin Chosa survey of research papers and data for selecting the site of an underground waste site at the municipal assembly on its last day of session. Tsushima is an island located near the border with South Korea, and its population has been shrinking and its industry also declining. The mayor has raised concern regarding the adverse effects of the disposal site on the local economy associated with the nuclear facility. He is also concerned about the reputational damage to the fishing industry, which employs 14% of the working population of Tsushima. The city's annual fish catches amounts to about 16 billion yen. Meanwhile, Japan has yet to have a final disposal site for high-level radioactive waste coming from its nuclear power plants. Japan's law calls for such high-level radioactive waste to be buried in a final disposal site built more than 300 meters underground. The initial survey has been underway since 2020 in 2 municipalities in Hokkaido. Tsushima's rejection means that the central government of Japan would have to find other areas to conduct their Bankin Chosa survey. Ijo, Nihon kara ko Jun Sumi News at Shimashita. SMNI News, Japan.
South Korea recently hosted its first ever large-scale military parade in 10 years in a show of military might amid tensions with North Korea. Gabriel Diaz reports.
South Korea flexed its military might with thousands of troops marching across the streets of Seoul, along with the country's homegrown tanks and artillery, to commemorate the 75th Armed Forces Day on Tuesday. The South Korean military rolled tanks, artillery systems, drones, and ballistic missiles. 300 U.S. soldiers stationed in the country also joined the parade, as said by the South Korean Defense Ministry. The parade's focal point was a 2-kilometer-long procession through the main commercial district of Seoul, leading to the Gwanghwamun area. The troops and also the crowd braved the rainy weather. South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol also, he issued a stern warning against North Korea regarding its nuclear weapons use. Yoon said, and quote, "If North Korea uses nuclear weapons, its regime will be brought to an end by an overwhelming response." End of quote. Yoon aims to strengthen South Korea's military alliance with the United States. He also wants to boost the security cooperation between Japan and the U.S., but this move have caused concerns regarding South Korea's relations to its biggest trading partner, China. To recall, senior diplomats from South Korea, China, and Japan met in Seoul and agreed to hold the first summit of their leaders at the earliest convenient time. Reporting, this has been Gabriel Diaz, SMNI News.
More news when the Newsline world returns.
Kabayan! Oo, ikaw. Alam mo ba na you can win lots of prizes when you bring home a guest in the Philippines? The Department of Tourism brings you the Visita Be My Guest program. Joining is easy. 1. Sign up as a sponsor. You can do this via the official BBMG website. All Filipinos of legal age living in the Philippines or abroad can join. 2. Invite your guests. The more you invite, the more chances of winning. And 3. Travel to the Philippines and upload your proof of travel to complete the registration process and earn e-raffle tickets and the BBMG travel passport and privilege card that you can use to get discounts as you travel around our award-winning destinations in the Philippines. Join now and get a chance to win in any of the 3 raffle dates in 2023. So what are you waiting for? Come home and bring your guests to the Philippines. Sign up, invite friends and family, and travel to the world's leading beach and dive destination and the world's leading country destination for tourism, the Philippines. Visita Be My Guest in the Philippines.
There is no country like the Philippines. This is the most beautiful country in the world.
Dapat lahat ng Pilipino magmahal sa Pilipinas. 365 days, 52 weeks, 8,760 hours, 24/7 uninterrupted service, all in the service of God and country. Indeed made a significant difference for the Philippines and the lives of every Filipino. But we will not stop here. This is just the beginning.
We already have that image right now of SMNI, that SMNI is only standing for the truth, that SMNI and its credibility is inviolable, that SMNI and its integrity is not for sale. That is the image that SMNI right now, because credibility to us is more than ₱1 billion as long as our credibility stands, that we are telling only the truth. That's why the tagline of SMNI is truth that matters.
For nation building, for upholding truth over narrative, for our beloved country, this is SMNI.
Back in the news, the Philippine Senate is seeking to investigate the ransomware attack on PhilHealth's website. Sigrid Castaneda for the details.
Based on what we have learned so far in all the hearings, nothing concrete has yet been presented that will lead us to believe that any funds were mishandled or misappropriated.
This was the result of the plenary deliberations in Congress for the 2024 proposed budget of the Office of the Vice President. Vice President Sara Duterte herself was present during the plenary session. The OVP was questioned about its 125 million confidential funds in 2022. Members of the minority in Congress argued that the funds were illegal because the OVP had zero confidential funds in the previous year. However, the Budget Department insisted that the fund transfer was legal because it was sourced from the President's contingent funds. Even Independent Minority Representative Edsa Lagman did not raise any questions in the plenary after seeing the Special Allotment Release Order or SARO for the confidential funds.
So two things. The source was the contingent fund of the President, and second, the purpose is for utilization in the nature of confidential funds.
The OVP also clarified the issue that their 2022 confidential funds were used for almost 2 weeks only. A Commission and Audit report indicated that the funds were only used for 11 days from the initial report of 19 days.
With the basis of the report of COA, for the utilization of the fund starts from December 20 to 31, and that is 11 days. However, Mr. Speaker, Your Honor, the implementation of the programs started on the day that the SARO was released, in December 13 of 2022, which means immediately after the release of SARO, the implementation has already started. But the actual payment, as based on the COA report and findings, only started in December 20 up to December 31, which means the actual implementation is not 11 days, but it is 19 days.
Meanwhile, political party leaders in Congress have agreed to transfer the controversial confidential and intelligence funds to government agencies responsible for the West Philippine Sea defense. This was signed by leaders of the Nationalist People's Coalition, Lakas CMD, Nationalista Party, PDP Laban, National Unity Party, and Party List Coalition Foundation Incorporated. The OVP has no problem with this decision if it becomes the choice of Congress, as they hold the power of the purse to decide which government programs to fund. Meanwhile, former National Security Advisor Hermogenes Esperon Jr. believes that there is a reason why left-wing lawmakers fear confidential funds.
They are against the anti-terrorism law. They are against NPF-LCAP. They are against personal security. They are against document security. They are against intelligence. They are not representatives of the people, but they are representatives of the combined CPP, NPA, NDF. Nandiyan sila. So bawat galaw or effort na makakapuksa sa kanila ay lalabanan nila.
Tonight, the House of Representatives will approve the 2024 General Appropriations Bill in their last session night before the recess. Business here will be back on the first week of November. For Ganamabul of Philippines, MJ Mondihar, SMNI News.
The Foreign Minister of India hits at Canada over the killing of a Khalistani activist, Hardeep Singh Nijjar, who was also a wanted terrorist in India. The details with Jane Kudnita.
We must never again allow an injustice like vaccine apartheid to recur. Climate action, too, cannot continue to witness an evasion of historical responsibilities. The power of markets should not be utilized to steer food and energy from the needy to the wealthy. Nor must we countenance that political convenience determines responses to terrorism, extremism, and violence. Similarly, respect for territorial integrity and non-interference in internal affairs cannot be exercises in cherry-picking.
This is what Indian External Affairs Minister Subramaniam Jaishankar said during his speech at the UN General Assembly. Jaishankar also pointed out the issue of organized crime in Canada during his speech at the Council of Foreign Relations on Tuesday. Jaishankar said Canada's organized crime has been on the rise over the years, particularly linked to secessionist forces, extremism, and violence. He also expressed his concerns over the Canadian government's apparent willingness to tolerate such activities for political reasons. India has been criticizing the Canadian government for its approach towards pro-Khalistan elements and letting anti-India activities on Canadian soil persist as an act of freedom of expression. To recall, last week, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau said his government was actively pursuing credible allegations linking Indian government agents to Nijjar's death and urged New Delhi to cooperate with Ottawa.
Today I'm rising to inform the House of an extremely serious matter. I just informed the leaders of the opposition directly, but I want now to speak with all Canadians. Over the past number of weeks, Canadian security agencies have been actively pursuing credible allegations of a potential link between agents of the government of India and the killing of a Canadian citizen, Hardeep Singh Nijjar. Canada is a rule of law country. The protection of our citizens and defense of our sovereignty are fundamental. Our top priorities have therefore been, one, that our law enforcement and security agencies ensure the continued safety of all Canadians, and two, that all steps be taken to hold perpetrators of this murder to account. Canada has declared its deep concerns to the top intelligence and security officials of the Indian government. Last week at the G20, I brought them personally and directly to Prime Minister Modi in no uncertain terms. Any involvement of a foreign government in the killing of a Canadian citizen on Canadian soil is an unacceptable violation of our sovereignty.
India rejected the accusations.
We have informed the Canadian government that there should be parity in strength and rank equivalence in our diplomatic presence, in mutual diplomatic presence. Their numbers here are very much higher than ours in Canada. The details of this are being worked out, but I assume there will be a reduction from the Canadian side. Words used by Canadian Prime Minister, Foreign Minister, and then the US Ambassador, right? Yes, I do think there is a degree of prejudice here, They have made the allegations, they have taken action on them. To us, it seems or it appears that these allegations by the Government of Canada are primarily politically driven. Let me clarify, no specific information has been shared by Canada on this case, either then or before or after. We have, as we have said, or I think we've been made very clear, we are willing to look at any specific information. We have conveyed this to the Canadian side, made it clear to them that we are willing to look at any specific information that is provided to us. But so far, we have not received any such specific information. There was a indirect question on that. Let me also point out that from our side, very specific evidence about criminal activities by individuals based on Canadian soil has been shared with the Canadian authorities on a regular basis, but not been acted upon.
This resulted in Canada and India expelling each other's diplomats, massive protests of Canadian Sikhs over the killing of Nijjar, and India suspending visas for Canadians. The diplomatic spat between India and Canada worsened following reports that one of the members of the Five Eyes shared intelligence inputs with Canada over the alleged role of Indian government agents in the killing of Nijjar. The Five Eyes is an intelligence alliance comprising of Canada, Australia, New Zealand, the United Kingdom, and the United States. And during an event on Tuesday, when asked about the involvement of the Five Eyes, Jaishankar said,
I'm not part of the Five Eyes. I'm certainly not part of the FBI. So I think you're asking the wrong person.
Jaishankar further said that India is open to looking at the proof that Canada has against them. The Canadian government has yet to provide any proof so far. According to the spokesperson of India's Foreign Ministry, Arindam Bagchi, New Delhi has already conveyed its willingness to look at specific information provided to them. Reporting, this has been Jane Conita, SMNI News.
Meanwhile, a Russian commander believed to be dead was actually alive, and he appeared during a live meeting with senior military officials. Angel Pastor has the details.
Admiral Viktor Sokolov, commander of the Russian Black Sea Fleet, was declared dead by Ukraine. Last Friday, the Ukrainian military claimed that Sokolov was killed following a strike on Russia's headquarters of the Black Sea Fleet in Sevastopol. The Russian Defense Ministry reported a single service member missing in action on the day of the Ukrainian missile strike. Ukrainian military, on the other hand, said their strike resulted in the deaths of 34 officers, including Sokolov. But he was alive after all and even participated in a high-profile virtual meeting of senior military officials led by Russian Defense Chief Sergei Shoigu. The Russian admiral's face could be seen in photo and video materials from the meeting. He later met with journalists to answer their questions face-to-face. Sokolov's death would have been one of Ukraine's most significant strikes on Crimea, as Kiev has increased its attacks in the Black Sea and on the entire peninsula using missiles and assault drones. Meanwhile, Maria Zakharova, the spokeswoman for the Russian Foreign Ministry, accused the U.S. and British intelligence agencies of supporting Ukraine during the said attack on Sevastopol. She also said that such attacks aims to draw attention away from the Ukrainian military's counter-offensive attempts, which she said was a failure. Russian Defense Chief Shoigu on Tuesday estimated that over 17,000 Ukrainian troops were killed in September alone. Some Western officials and media have also acknowledged the Ukraine's counter-offensive has not turned out as Ukraine and its backers had hoped. Despite the losses, U.S. President Joe Biden continues to urge Congress to keep supporting Ukraine for as long as it takes. A request amounting to $24 billion in military aid is currently floating in the U.S. legislature, but some Republican lawmakers opposed this proposal amid a looming U.S. government shutdown in October. Reporting, this has been Angel Pastor, SMNI News.
The newly elected Prime Minister of Thailand will visit Cambodia on Thursday to create stronger bilateral ties between the two neighboring countries. Chad Mongon Pisamagozon has the details.
Thai Prime Minister Sethar Thavisin will pay his first official visit to Cambodia on Thursday, September 28, upon the invitation of his Cambodian counterpart, Hun Manet. Sethar and Hun Manet will hold bilateral talks during the former's one-day visit to the Cambodian capital of Phnom Penh. The visit will mark the Thai leader's first visit abroad since he assumed office on the 22nd of August. Both leaders will exchange views on regional and international issues, as well as economic cooperation, which involves an increase of mutual trade volume to $15 billion by 2025. Bilateral trade between Thailand and Cambodia was valued at more than 300 billion baht in 2022. To note, former Thai Prime Minister Thaksin Shinawat's presence during the birthday party for outgoing Cambodian Prime Minister Hun Sen in Phnom Penh in August gained international attention. He attended the party a day after he delayed his plans to return to Thailand following 15 years of self-imposed exile. Bilateral relations between Cambodia and Thailand date back to the 13th century during the Angkor era. รายงานจากกรุงเทพมหานคร นายชันมงคลพิสมัยโกศล SMNI News ประเทศไทย สวัสดีครับ
Newsline World will be back after the break.
Hey, we're glad you found SMNI News. If you subscribe to TV programs that help build the nation, then we got you covered. Watch your favorite TV shows through GSAT TV Channel 40, Cignal TV Channel 186. And if you are a Sky Cable subscriber, you can watch SMNI in National Capital Region, Sky Cable Channel 162, Cebu Sky Cable Channel 37, Davao City, Sky Cable Channel 14, 43, and 46. General Santos City, Sky Cable Channel 37. Zamboanga, Sky Cable Channel 53. Bacolod, Sky Cable Channel 37. Iloilo, Sky Cable Channel 36. Dumaguete, Sky Cable Channel 37. Baguio, Sky Cable Channel 14. And Laoag, Sky Cable Channel 10. You may also watch SMNI on digital TV in Davao City and Manila, and also in TV Plus and GMA Afford the Box, and over 500 cable TV affiliates nationwide. Watch SMNI on digital channels in Mega Manila, Channel 39 and 43. We are also on analog TV in Laoag, Channel 35, Isabela, Channel 37, Vigan, Channel 38, Roxas, Channel 39, Butuan, Channel 39, and Davao, Channel 43. If you're on your mobile phone, download SMNI app or visit smni.com to get the latest news, updates, and more. Also, browse through the day's top stories and receive notifications for breaking news. Watch us live on our official Facebook and Rumble accounts, and you can also follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, so you don't miss out on our extra minute segments. Wherever you decide to watch, we're glad you choose SMNI News, the home of nation builders who bravely bring truth that matters.
Si Mang Juan, si Manong Jess, si Manong Jess, si Mang Juan. Magkatuwang para sa bayan. Dito sa Bayan ni Juan. Bayan ni Juan. Si Senador Juan Ponce Enrile at Jess Aranza. No holds barred na usapan. Dito sa Bayan ni Juan. Bayan ni Juan.
Isang paglilingkod bayan na naman ang hatid ng SMNI para sa inyo mga kababayan. Dagdagan natin ang ating kaalaman patungkol sa kalusugan at iba't ibang mga sakit sa pamamagitan ng pagtuturo gamit ang ating sariling wika ng mga natatangi at espesyalistang mga doktor sa ating bansa. Itawag ang inyong mga naishingan ng payo patungkol sa inyong karamdaman.
Magandang umaga, Luzon, Visayas at Mindanao.
Dito lang sa programa ng mga doktor ng bayan.
Magandang umaga, Pilipinas. Good.
Samahan sina Kyle Selva, Val Divina Gracia at ang mga doktor ng bayan sa pangunguna ng dalubhasang doktor na si DOH Secretary Ted Herbosa.
Serbisyong pangkalusugan para sa Pilipinas nating mahal.
Tuwing Sabado alas 9:30 hanggang alas 10:30 ng umaga, dito lamang sa SMNI. Mga doktor ng bayan, serbisyo publiko ng SMNI. Para sa Pilipinas nating mahal.
Back in the news, the Philippine Senate is seeking to investigate the ransomware attack on PhilHealth's website. Si Greg Castaneda has the details.
Senator Mark Villar is calling for an investigation into the recent cyber attack on the Philippine Health Insurance Corporation's website, which compromised the personal information of the members of PhilHealth. Villar also condemned the cyber attack, stating that it is not just a significant case of information theft, but part of a widespread attack on public health and welfare due to the inclusion of medical information of all PhilHealth members. Villar also expressed concern regarding the more than 24-hour downtime of PhilHealth's system during the attack, saying that it has endangered the capacity of its members and beneficiaries to seek immediate medical assistance. The senator voiced his growing concern about a series of cyber attacks on various government institutions, with PhilHealth being the latest victim. As a result, Villar has filed Senate Resolution number 811 to investigate the said cyber attack and all other attacks on government websites. To recall, on September 22, PhilHealth's website was hit by a cyber attack from the Medusa ransomware, an international group of hackers known for its attacks on large organizations. It demanded the government $300,000 to us not to expose the PhilHealth data it illegally obtained. For God in my beloved Philippines, this has been Sigrid Castañeda, SMNI News.
And the former Prime Minister of Thailand, who was jailed after returning from self-imposed exile last month, could possibly get out of jail by February of next year. Anisa de Guzman reports.
Former Prime Minister Thaksin Shinawatra could be out of jail in a few months after the King of Thailand granted him a royal pardon that reduced his prison sentence from a total of 12 years to just a single year. The 74-year-old billionaire returned to Thailand on August 22, 2023, after spending 15 years in self-exile. Thaksin was overthrown in a military coup in September 2006 and stayed overseas until his return last month. From the airport, he was taken straight under police custody, but was immediately transferred to a hospital within 24 hours of detainment due to high blood pressure and low oxygen, as well as tightness in his chest. After more than a week, Thaksin submitted a request for a royal pardon, which the King of Thailand granted by reducing his jail sentence from 8 years to 1. Before his return, the self-exiled former Prime Minister faces a total of 12 years in prison in 3 outstanding cases. Meanwhile, Thailand's chairperson for the Senate Committee on Human Rights, Civil Liberty and Consumer Protection said that Thaksin can still reduce his jail time and will be eligible for early release in February 2024 after completing half of his 1-year term. The billionaire founded the populist Phua Thai Party, the same political party where newly elected Prime Minister Srettha Thavisin came from after he was chosen last month to lead the country and form a new government. Srettha previously said that Thaksin could play a role in the government after his release from jail, as he remains one of the most popular leader in Thai politics. Di siya na Anisa de Guzman, Rangan Chakontep Mahanopong, SMNI News, Protect Thai, Sawadika.
Saudi Arabia has announced plans to build the first nuclear power plant in the country as part of the ongoing talks for the historic peace deal with Israel. Melchizedek Cadiz has the details.
Saudi Arabia's Energy Minister Abdulaziz bin Salman Al Saud said that Saudi Arabia would terminate its agreement with the International Atomic Energy Agency, or AIEA, under the Small Quantities Protocol. The Small Quantities Protocol exempts countries with limited nuclear material, or none at all, for inspections and the obligation to report nuclear activity to the IAEA. Its termination means that the oil-rich kingdom is committed to pursuing its nuclear energy ambitions as part of the ongoing negotiations for a historic peace deal with Israel. By doing so, Saudi Arabia has agreed to an increase of international oversight of its nuclear activity by atomic energy inspectors as it aims to become a more powerful player on international stage. The Saudi Energy Minister also pledged to create stronger safeguards and authorize more checks from the International Atomic Energy Agency, the United Nations nuclear watchdog. The oil-rich kingdom is in close cooperation with the UN agency to develop peaceful uses of nuclear energy in various fields and build the first nuclear power plant in the country. Saudi Arabia, one of the world's biggest oil producers, has no nuclear power plant and is officially a non-nuclear weapon state. For years, the oil-rich kingdom has explored the development of a domestic nuclear energy industry to reduce its dependence on fossil fuels. In 2013, the kingdom has planned to establish a civil nuclear power industry, but the project was abandoned 2 years later. Reporting this has been Melchizedek Cadiz, SMNI News, Kuwait.
Driverless taxis are scheduled to hit the roads of Dubai next month, just in time for the start of the tourist season in the city. Jonathan Acobo tells us more.
Marhaba! The future of driverless transportation is taking shape in the so-called City of Gold as the city plans to introduce self-driving vehicles in October.
Dubai's Road and Transport Authority, or RTA, will launch 5 driverless taxis in Jumeirah 1 starting in the first week of October following the successful digital mapping in the area. The autonomous taxi, operated by US-based self-driving technology company Cruise, will not take any human passengers yet during the trial phase next month. Meanwhile, only selected individuals will be able to take cruise taxis by December 2023, while full commercial operations is expected by second half of 2024. The initiative will make Dubai the first city in the world to commercially operate cruise self-driving vehicles outside the US. The RTA has not set an official fare yet for the driverless taxis, although an official hinted it may be 30% higher than regular prices.
As part of its smart self-driving transport strategy, Dubai plans to deploy 4,000 driverless taxis and transform 25% of mobility journeys across the city into smart and driverless journeys by 2030. Tajublak Almazimin Tatiti at Karmibay Kanal Jothan Kobosmay News Netidar Bermrets.
An international team of geologists discovered an ancient continent that has been missing for more than 3 centuries. Justine Nazario tells us more.
After 375 years, scientists have made a remarkable discovery by finding an ancient continent called Zealandia. It was once part of a supercontinent called Gondwana over 500 million years ago. Zealandia is mostly underwater, with only about 6% above sea level, making up New Zealand and some nearby islands. The first person to look for Zealandia was a Dutch sailor named Abel Tasman back in 1642. Unfortunately, he couldn't find it. But in 2017, geologists revealed that Zealandia had been hiding underwater all this time. Now, an international team of scientists has created a detailed map of the ancient continent. They use information from rocks collected on the ocean floor and clues from West Antarctica. They think there might be a subduction zone near the Campbell Plateau off the west coast of New Zealand. To improve their maps, the scientists studied rocks and sediment from the ocean floor and nearby islands. Although most of Zealandia is still underwater, it took a while to realize it was there, even though it seems obvious now. Dr. Andy Talek from Zealand Crown Research Institute GNS Science said, "It's a process which we don't completely understand yet. Zealandia started to be pulled away. They are now trying to figure out when Zealandia broke away from Gondwana." Reporting, this has been Justine Nazario, SMNI News.
And for our sports news, in the latest updates of the 19th Asian Games, Eala advances to the women's singles semifinals at the 19th Asian Games. On the other hand, Marjeline Didal finished his Asiad campaign in 8th place. Alicia Torres for the report.
Filipino tennis player Eala secures the country's first tennis medal in the Asian Games since 2006.
Eala won a 0-6 first-set win against her competitor Kyoka Okamura of Japan. The second set lasted more than an hour, but Eala secured victory with a score of 7-5. On the third set, Eala stunned Okamura with a score of 6-0. Eala will face China's Qinwen Zhang in the semis after winning against Soyun Park of South Korea with a score of 7-6, 6-0. Meanwhile, 2018 Asian Games gold medalist Marjolein Didal failed to secure her title in the skateboarding women's street event. Didal ended her campaign in 8th place. The Filipina skateboarder scored 23.39 points from the run in the tricks round. China's 13-year-old Shen Chi Sui won gold with a total score of 242.62 points, while Chinese skateboarder Wen Hui Zhang won silver with 236.61 points. Japan's Miyo Ito won bronze with a total score of 221.59 points. Reporting, this has been Alisa Torres, SMNI News.
And before we end, may you be inspired with the message of the appointed Son of God. Be sure that nothing controls you but the will of the Father, nothing else.
And for our Christmas countdown, it's 88 days to go before Christmas. And that's all for today's edition of Newsline World. For more news update, you may visit SMNIchannel.com or follow us in official social media accounts on Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. For God and Country, I'm Frederico Velloso.
For God and Country, I'm Mayk Oliveira. Thank you for watching Newsline World, and thank you to our beloved pastor, Pastor Apollo Sikiboloy, for the great opportunity to be part of this program.
May you continue to listen on SMNI as deliver nothing but fair, truthful, and balanced news, because SMNI is the source of credible news.
This is SMNI News.